All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a look at some multiplication today. So we have been working on multiplying with some decimal numbers, multiplying a whole number times a decimal, and we're going to continue with that. The only difference is, so far this week, you've been doing things that have been a little bit more simple, where we've been looking at doing things where we're multiplying 4 times 3/10 or 4 times 7/100. It's always been your decimal number has had a single digit. Today we're going to step that up a little bit. So instead of only having a single digit, we're going to do the same basic numbers of a whole number, 5, but now we're going to be multiplying it by a 2-digit decimal number. So say 37, for example. So now we've got to figure out how we're going to do this. And we still haven't worked on a standard algorithm yet. We've been working on other methods at this point. So that's what we're going to continue. Well, we're going to take all the knowledge that we know about place value and what we know about the distributive method. Okay, if you remember, the distributive method is what allows us to do the break apart, either an area model or partial products. That's what we're taking a look at today. So we're going to do both. So we'll take a look at both the area and we'll do partial products. Okay, so we're going to do both simultaneously so you can get a good example of what they are. So if we're doing the area model, we would do it the exact way we've done the area model with every other multiplication problem. First thing, you need the area of some shape that you're working on. Then what we're going to do is on one side we have 5. That's one of our terms. It's a single digit, so we only need one spot. Over here, we have 2 digits, 2 different place value spots. Area model involves us breaking it up by place value. So my first place value number is 3/10. That's my first section. The second section is 7/100. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and inside of this part of the rectangle, I'm finding the area of this one. So it's the length and the width. So it's 5 times 3/10. And this is what you did yesterday. You were able to do this relatively easy. 5 times 3/10. 5 times 3 is 15, and 15 times 1/10 would make it 1.5. Okay. Now over here on my next one, now I would be doing 5 times 7/100. All right, so we have 5 times 7 is 35. So just in case we're not following my logic, 5 times 7 equals the 35. But this is in the hundredth spot, so we're taking that 35 and we're multiplying it by 100, which moves our decimal point 2 spots to the left, giving me 3,500. So those are our 2 pieces. That's how large this rectangle is. That's how large this one is. Now, to find the total area of the entire thing, we would add them together. Now, we've done this part before too. It's been a while. You need to remember that when we're adding decimal numbers, you have to line up your decimal points. Okay, so it's all right that there's nothing there. Although if it bothers you not having something, you can always put a 0 in and fill it in. Now we're just adding. Now that they're lined up by decimal point, every place value spot's lined up. So adding it together, 5, 8, bring down the decimal, and 1. So 5 times 3,700, or 5 groups of 3,700, is 1 and 8,500. All right, now we can do it with partial products too. Partial products is another method that we've used for a while with regular multiplication, and it should work here too. It's the same basic idea of the area model. We're using the distributive property. We're just taking away the area part of it. We're just going to take away that little framework that we have to work with. So if we're multiplying 5 times 3,700, we're still breaking it apart by place value. So I'm going to be multiplying 5 times 3/10, and then I'm going to be multiplying 5 times 7/100. I'm multiplying the 2 pieces. And of course, we already know what the answer to each of these steps are because we did it in the area model. It's the same multiplication. It's just a different form. It just looks different because the setup is slightly different. So this one right here is still 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 1/10 is 1.5. So that's still 1.5. And like we had already done our work before, this is still 0.35 or 3500ths is the way we're supposed to say it. Now, with partial products, we have the same step that we're supposed to do with the area model. Once we've broken it apart and multiplied it, we're supposed to put it back together. So we do the same exact steps. We're still adding. We're still lining up the decimal point. We add. Maybe this time I'll leave it as blank because it still just means 0. And we get the exact same answer. What a surprise. It's the same numbers. You should get the same answer. Okay, but that's our area model for multiplication, and that's the partial products. So we're going to do one more, and then in the slideshow, there's a written out example of them as well before you get to your practice. So you can always refer back to the written out example in there. So let's go ahead and let's pick something out to try. So 4 times, I don't know, let's really make it hard. Let's do 27 thousandths, because now I'm in the thousandths place. So doesn't matter which way we use. We start with the area model. There we go. Might as well stay consistent. We did the area model first last time. My first place value, the first digit that I have, would be 2 hundredths. The second one is 7 thousandths. These are the things I'm multiplying. In this box, to find the area of this section, it's 4 times 2 hundredths, which is 4 times 2 is 8, and then 8 times 1 hundredths, because it's in the hundredths place value. Okay, this 2 is equal to 2 times 1 hundredth. Okay, so if we're multiplying, we've got to remember to make that happen. So when we do this, 8 times 1 hundredth is 8 hundredths. So that's this section. Over here, when we're multiplying it out, 4 times 7 thousandths. Okay, well, 4 times 7 is 28. And then the 28, we need to multiply it by 1 thousandths because it's in the thousandths place. Moving it over 1, 2, 3 digits. So I move my decimal over 1, 2, 3 spots. Now I drew it out this time to remind us, when you move it over so many spots that there's nothing there, you do need to fill that spot in. So this is 28 thousandths. Okay, so taking a look at it, when I now go through and I add these up, again, same step as before, line up the decimal points. Now we add just like normal. I can fill that in. We have 8. 8 and 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 1. Decimal point 0. So the answer, what is 4 groups of 27 thousandths? 108 thousandths is what it is. Okay, and we could do the same thing with partial products. We'll do it quickly because I know you're ready to move on. So doing that, we would do 4 times the 2 hundredths. Then we do 4 times the 7 thousandths. Okay, what a surprise. We get the exact same answers. This is 8 hundredths. This would be 28 thousandths. Add them together, which I am having some problems with my tablet. There we go, adding them together. It's the same numbers. If it doesn't come out the same, math has gone haywire. There we go. All right, and we get the same exact amount. So whether you like the area model because it keeps everything contained and makes sure you don't forget anything, or you like the partial products because it's a little faster and you can do things in your own space and in the order you want, it doesn't really matter. Okay, anyway, should come up with the same answer because you're doing the same multiplication steps and then putting it back together at the end. All right, well, try some of these out. We will see you at office hours if you're struggling, and of course, we'll work on this more next week. All right, guys. So have a good weekend. Hope everything goes well.